Coming up on today's show, a cab driver gets more than she bargained for when she picks up a new passenger. In the movie, The Stranger. Stay tuned. Welcome to Scary World, where we walk you through the latest and greatest in the world of horror. I am your host, Arturo Padilla.
Hi.
For those of you just joining us, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and say what's up down below. Now, before we get started, we have one major rule around here. No spoilers. Now that we got that out of the way, there are 5 categories: production, story, ensemble, horror, and legacy. Each category can score up to 2 points.
Showtime.
Per IMDb, the synopsis goes, an unassuming young rideshare driver is thrown into her worst nightmare when a mysterious Hollywood Hills passenger enters her car. This movie was directed by Veena Sud, and it was initially released in 2020 as a series with 13 8-minute episodes on the streaming platform Quibi. This whole production looks great. Everything is shot and composed effectively. Sud showcases her talent behind the camera by using several different camera techniques to enhance the suspense and the tension throughout the movie.
How do you know about him?
Mr. Leonard?
She makes great use of depth of field to really enhance certain sequences that need that little oomph in terms of terror and suspense. The movie is edited well, with all the episodes pieced together properly into a linear package. But back to the director, she makes sure everything is executed at a high level, and visually, this production is successful. And for all the hard work done behind the camera to accomplish the suspense and the tension throughout the movie, and the hard work piecing all 13 episodes together to make one seamless linear story, this production receives the full score of a 2. The story and the script is also written by Veena Sud. Unfortunately, she's not as successful in this department. The story tries too hard to be unique and falls extremely flat throughout all of the acts. The narrative lacks a lot of logic and expects the viewer to just accept it. It becomes more of a detriment than a gimmick to this movie. A lot of things just don't make sense in this story, and I understand it was released in 2020, but there's a lot of different kinds of talk here about technology and about internet stuff and all that that really kind of doesn't make any sense. Especially in the time that the story's made of. It's not like, they walked out of a cave. So that gets really annoying because you definitely have to stop believing in your knowledge of technology to be able to fully accept this story. Aside from all that, the story's twists and turns really don't hit as well as they should. I feel this is because the overall dumbed down logic of this story. And for the poor framework of this story, and for the poorly built suspense and tension, and the very annoying and dumb, honestly, plot line and technology talk, this movie deserves a 0 for story. It's not a good story. It is the downfall of this thing, and it's a darn shame, and we'll continue talking about this in the next segment. The cast does an admirable job with the characters, but even these talented actors could not save this story from itself. These characters are underdeveloped and their dynamics really don't work well. Horror darling Micah Monroe anchors this movie like the pro she is.
Being serious? Because if you're being serious, you should not be talking to me. You should be talking to them. They...
I can't. I'm sorry. I can't.
And made this movie somewhat watchable, but Dane DeHaan's character, for instance, he's the antagonist here. You learn that right off the bat. He's the stranger in this movie. His character has a lot of issues. The character that helps out Micah Monroe in this movie, he is also very flawed as a written character. That is a shame because you have talented actors here and they are able, and I know they are able to properly portray a very good character. I've seen it in the past before from all 3 talents. It is the story that really affects how these characters come off. The actors can only do so much. They're given this character, and as I said in the previous segment, the story is so weak that the characters are just weak as well. The characters needed to be developed a whole lot more than they were. They were very simple and quite dumb, unfortunately, just like the story. But Micah Monroe does Micah Monroe as usual, and she kills her performance here. She saves this movie in terms of watchability. Dane DeHaan, I'm not really too impressed with his performance in this movie. And for that, it only gets a score of a 1 for ensemble. There is not much blood and gore in this movie, but what we do get is practical and it looks good on the screen. The movie, unfortunately, was heavily dependent on some poorly built suspense and tension to captivate the audience. That might have worked if the story was properly built and fleshed out. We spoke about that in the previous segments, but let's stick to what we got here in the horror. I wish the filmmakers would have done a better job building the suspense and the tension throughout all the acts of the story. Everything just seems to fall flat here, unfortunately, and it's a huge detriment to this movie. There might have been a better outcome if the suspense was sprinkled throughout without having so much of the talky dialogue stuff that this movie gives us. Again, it's really unfortunate because you do have talent in this movie that can and should be able to give you a quality performance. And for the practical stuff we do get, this movie gets a 1 for horror. I do enjoy the fact that they went out of their way to do everything practical. That helped those scenes where it was needed. But I do wish, as I said before, that the horror and the suspense was built up better in order for this to be a more enjoyable horror experience. To enjoy this movie, you needed to suspend all logic and common sense. The police work alone is blatantly egregious and it's quite laughable. I don't know if that was supposed to be on purpose, but it was very comedic in moments where it shouldn't have been comedic, and that's what brought down performances and scenes in this movie. Even for a movie made in 2020, the technology banter is comical and deserves every eye roll it gets. It's super cringe and it's super insulting because this movie was made in 2020, but we're watching it in 2024. But you would think the technology and everything, it's just odd that they treat us so dumb in this movie. And I don't appreciate it. And this is why, for Legacy, this movie deserves a big old fat 0. So to tally it up, The Stranger received a 2 for production, a 0 for story, a 1 for ensemble, a 1 for horror, and a 0 for Legacy, bringing its total score up to 4. I was not a fan of this movie. I really expected a lot more because of the actors in it. They usually choose their roles wisely. Well, I know Micah Monroe does. Not sure about Dane DeHaan. But I thought this was going to be a bit more suspenseful, a bit more gripping. It really wasn't. Everything fell flat. Nothing really hit with me. It's a shame. Like I said, these actors are talented. I've seen them do some good work. And this is not it, unfortunately. The entire production looks good, but the story is not that great at all. The characters really suck. The twists and turns really, there's nothing new here, folks. But for those who are interested, you can watch this movie on Hulu. It is streaming now.
Can you tell me what time it is?
And that's a wrap, folks. Thank you for watching Scary World. Don't forget to drop a comment down below and hit the thumbs up on the video. Most importantly, do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tell all your friends, your family, and their pets to come on down to CorpseFeed and subscribe. We have spoiler-free horror movie reviews for you guys dropping Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And we have the official CorpseFeed podcast, The Morgue, dropping every Tuesday wherever you get your podcast streams. We are also on all social platforms. Go like, subscribe, and share over there because we are there, folks. We will see you on Wednesday for another episode. And remember, it's a scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.